So, back to the technology show.
It is the technology show where we translate geek into regular speak. I'm Brett Levy. I'm your host this week. So, things with a Z is going to be interesting today. I have had the privilege of reviewing lots of Google's amazing devices and software, and specifically the Pixel range. So, for those of you that are regular listeners, you know that I also game on a Pixel device. I use the buds for the sound along with the Pixel. I use the watch for swimming and for running. So I'm super excited about today's show. So let's get into it. Let's bring up the slides, things with a Z, and off we go. So let's meet the shiny new and awesome Pixel 10 Fold. This is where the folding form factor gets a subtle but impactful upgrade, focusing on durability and raw speed. So basically, I'm not trying to compare it to the 9, but in most of the review shows that I do, there's always this is what's replaced that version. So when I talk about updating and speed, refining, it's kind of in reference to the previous Fold 9 and the original Fold, which came out. I don't think they had a number. I think it was just called the Fold. Anyway, so what's new? The biggest aesthetic change actually affects the function of the phone, which is the hinge. The design of the 10 Fold, it's actually a bit more chunky on the side. In fact, I'm looking, here it is here. You won't see this accurately watching the show. And in fact, what I'm going to do is just let me go back into full screen mode so I can hold it. So when I'm talking about the chunky, I'm talking about here for those that are watching, and for those listening, I'm pointing the hinge. You can see the hinge is like sticks out a little bit more as opposed to the 9. And the reason for that, it's been totally redesigned. Just want to go back into the presentation mode. It kind of feels more robust as well, the way the hinge is now. But the most important part is that it actually announced the device to be IP68 rated. So it's actually the first book style foldable to be IP68 rated. Now, what does IP68 mean, Brett? Well, don't worry, I'll tell you. We translate geek into regular speak. So this basically means it has proper dust and water resistance, like the regular or non-folding Pixel flagships, which are also IP68. So this gives you much more peace of mind when you're using it outdoors. So I think if I brought up on the screen now as well, you can see like all the different angles. So I've got a picture of it closed, I've got it from the side, I've got it open, and just the front screen as well. Let's talk about the screens. So the cover screen is only slightly bigger. It's 6.4 inches compared to 6.3 inches on the 9. And that's just because Google's managed to trim down the bezels. But it does make the phone feel more edge to edge. I mean, I'm not going to move out of the mode, but it really does look edge to edge. When I'm picked up, I'm looking at it again. And if you do put the two together, you can actually see what a difference a 0.1 inch bezel makes. So more importantly, though, the inner and outer displays are significantly brighter. They go up to 3,000 nits. Now, nits is the measure of how light is outdoors, its brightness. I don't remember the Pixel 9's nits. I am going to guess it was between 2,000 and 2,500 nits. So it is a lot more bright, and I have seen the difference. So here in Queensland, we have a lot of sun. It comes up early. You do want more nits on a sunny day. It's just that simple. So size, weight, it's pretty much almost the same. And if anything, the 10 Fold is probably marginally thicker when folded. That again is the durability of the new hinge that they put in. Screen brightness, though, makes that slight difference very easy to overlook. You know, if you're getting a phone, you're getting it for its screen and screen quality, you probably do want to have a screen that's brighter, even if the phone is slightly thicker. And I'm talking about, I don't know what the right measurement is, micromillimeters. I don't know. But once you put a cover on and so on, yeah, I don't think it'll make a difference. Unlike other brands looking to go thin, I wasn't really a dig at another brand, But Google has taken well, in my opinion, they've taken the correct decision of making it work as best as possible without sacrificing for size. So, a lot of people will move stuff in and make things smaller and so on and that. But at the end of the day, the reason you buy a Fold is because you're going to be using it as a work device. It folds out, you've got a tablet, and so on and so on. So, yeah, size for me wasn't an issue. Is that a G5 in your pocket, or are you pleased to see me? A bit cheesy, but speed and power is where the 10 really, really shines. So Google's new processor is the Tensor. So it's the Tensor G5 that we currently have. This is the heart of the upgrade. It's faster. The key takeaway is that it's actually designed to be more efficient, and it runs cooler than the G4. So that means it'll be smoother, it'll be snappier. It also will have less thermal throttling when running demanding apps. So when you run like some really, really heavy apps, um, your phone gets really hot, number one, and it actually can start lagging and even get to the point where it will shut itself down. That's where processing power really comes into investment. So the upgrade was not really about the form. As I said, if you look at the two together side by side, you probably won't tell the difference. I mean, even that zero point 0.1 mil of a bezel difference, you wouldn't tell just an initial stare. The magic, though, that I'm talking about is actually the G5, and it's also purpose built to handle like massive AI models on the device. So what I mean by that, Gemini is now actually the default assistant, and it's completely integrated into the system. So the software and additional like cool software features that I've actually covered when I did my previous review on the 10 range of phones, namely the 10 and the 10 Pro. This is kind of where the 10 Pro Fold comes into its own. So if you were looking for something new or innovative in that from a hardware point of view, that's not a reason to upgrade. Again, upgrading, I'm probably the exception. I love to have all the latest new toys, but I always advocate for upgrading on need instead of upgrading on desire. So if you running on an older device, hey Gary's a regular listener and viewer of the show. It's always nice to see the little thumbs up that pops up on the screen. Anyway, so battery life. The 10 does get a slightly larger battery than before. It's now just over 5,000 milliamps. And that combined with the efficiency of the G5 Trip will translate into a noticeable boost on how long you can actually use the phone before charging. Now, Google claims it can push past the 24-hour mark comfortably. I'm not a fan of running my devices to empty, so I actually didn't get to test this out, and I never will. I don't run my devices to flat. If I do, it's by mistake. But I did definitely get what I needed to get through in a busy day, and that's opening and closing and switching screens and all the kind of things that you would expect. Okay. So one of the new features and or accessory supports of the 10 Fold Pro is Pixel Snap. So this is the magnetic accessory system. It's based on the QI2 standard, and it's kind of Google's answer finally to MagSafe. So basically, you got a super easy way of attaching a magnetic wallet or a charger or attaching onto a stand, which generally is a charger as well. It now, because of QI2, also supports the faster 15-watt wireless charging. I can't get my words out today. So that's kind of the quick overview on the 10 Pro Fold. Next, the Pixel Buds 2a. So this is Google's headset. I was actually looking for mine. I think they're lying next to my bed charging, so I can't actually do a little show and tell while I'm talking. And I know my watch is there, so I'm not going to talk about that either. So, excuse me. What I love about all Pixel products, I just want to start this segment off with when it gets the A tag, right? So the A is generally represents budget or mid-price when you look at devices. Samsung kind of started with the A many years ago, and I think a lot of brands have just picked up from that. But generally, it represents budget. Now, any previous release of A devices from Google shows that this is not the true story at all. Be case in point, all Pixel phones have the same processor. So normally when Google launches their phones, they'll launch the, let's in this instance, 10 and 10 Pro, or last year 9 and 9 Pro, and now with folds as well. And then normally about 6 months later, we get an A release. The 8, the 9, and I assume if we see it with the 10, will have the G5 processor. Previously had G4, previously had G3. Now, most other phone companies do not do that. They will have two separate processors, one for their Pro and one for their normal phone, or the non-Pro device. That's something I have to commend, and it's no different when it comes to the Pixel Buds. So the new Pixel Bud 2As basically have brought premium features down into an accessible price point. And that's kind of where Google positions it at. So let's start with design and comfort for that matter. So Google has completely overhauled the look of the 2A buds. The original buds is what I'm now comparing them to, because we've had the 2 Pros, but I'm now saying between Pixel Buds and the 2As, the 2As look a lot more like the premium 2 Pros. I have reviewed these two as well on a previous episode. I'll try and remember to put the links in the show so you can go back and have a look at those as well, and a comparative to the 9 Fold as well, if need be. But they abandoned the older wingtip design of the original buds, and they've opted for the new sleek, compact little body, and it's got like a small stabilizer. If you're watching the show, you'll see it. A small little rubber that just sticks out. And what happens when you put the earbud in, you just give it a little twist and it just locks in. So this change means that the 2A is very comfortable. It stays secure in your ear. You get that high-end fit for your longer listening sessions, whether you're working out or whether you're commuting. The case has also been upgraded. So the case of the 2A is probably the winner when it comes to the daily carry or daily use. It is quite a lot smaller than the 2 Pros case. I actually wish I'd had a slide to show a comparison, because it is quite a lot smaller. There are fewer features on the 2A's case versus the 2 Pros case. So that's something that obviously helped them get the size there. But I have brought a picture up, and you can see it really is, it's small. Buds fit in. There's no excess waste. The case has its own battery for charging, like most cases do as well. So very pocket friendly. This is great also. A lot of females that train wearing those like leggings, they have those really small pouches that you can put your phone in or your keys or something like that. The case will fit in there perfectly, and it's lightweight as well. So definitely something to consider as a workout set of earbuds. But grab and go. Boom, off you go. Now, Google's also provided smart audio for everyone now. So the Pixel Buds 2A has full active noise cancelling. This is big. Basically, ANC, by now you have to know what that is. If you don't, you just silence everything out, right? And that works on the way it plugs up your ear, and then obviously the reverse microphones as well. So you can truly focus on your music or your podcast. This is something that's really been previously always been reserved for much more expensive Pro models, Pixel Pros, number one, but other brands as well. Even Apple, you can get the Apple Pros, and then you get the normal, what do they call them? Not iPods, AirPods. AirPods? Yeah, AirPods. So yeah, the entry level doesn't have active noise cancelling, whereas the Pros do. Not the case when it comes to the 2As. Whoops, something just broke down. I'd also like to. I also like it that when you need to hear your surroundings, like let's say you're sitting on a train and there's an announcement or a car horn if you're riding a bike. Well, if you're riding a bike and you haven't activated, it's too late. But if you're sitting on a train and an announcement comes off, the 2As you have transparency mode. So you don't actually have to pull the bud out of your ear. You can just actively tap through the different modes. And when you hear transparency, you'll hear everything now. You can hear everything that's going on around you. So that's really cool. Again, normally a feature reserved for more expensive earbuds. And then the audio quality. So this, again, as I mentioned with the phones sharing the G5 Tensor processor, the 2A features the same custom design. Well, it's got a custom design 11mm driver, but it is the same driver used in the 2 Pros. So that means that you get that same rich, full sound quality with deep bass and very clear highs that Google's known for. Well, the 2 Pros were known for. You're going to get the same, but now we're in a value package as well. That takes me to the Kristen Hirsch Your Grossed scale. If you are new to the show, and I actually haven't done a Kristen Hirsch scale for a while. So what this is, it's a song. She sings it with the dude from Radiohead. Can't think of his name off the top of my head. Tom someone. And there's this bass line that if you're using speakers that don't support proper bass, you will not hear it. And if you're using speakers with really good bass, you will hear it. So this is the little scale that I've come up for when I test headsets. Generally, in-ears are never as good as over-ears, because I get asked that question. How come you always like on the lower end when the buds, when they're so good? That's why, right? Like an over-ear full can is always going to trump an in-ear. But that being said, I'm going to give it an honest 8. It's definitely between a 7 and 8. I'm going to round it up to an 8. The sound is magnificent. It's really good. So yeah, that's my Kristen Hirsch scale. And then, like all new Pixel audio devices, the 2A has Gemini baked in and ready to go. So what that means is you actually have a hands-free assistant. You don't have to touch your phone. You just tap the button and go. And ask Gemini for directions or to send a quick text message, to get a translation. And this is all without touching your phone. So again, Gemini, Google focusing on Gemini and Gemini being baked into everything that it does. 2A buds also apparently support real-time translation right in your ear. I say apparently, I have not tried this, so I can't say that they do. I read up about it. I saw it was on the spec sheets. But basically, in a nutshell, and I actually wish I thought about this when I was in Bali, in a nutshell, you can be traveling, or, well, you don't have to be traveling, you can just be somewhere that's cosmopolitan. Someone speaks in a different language, and the 2As will translate the conversation in real time. It doesn't help the person you're speaking to if they don't have it. But I have often had to use my phone when I travel, and I talk to my phone and I show it to them or play the sound for them and so on, and then they'll talk back to my phone. So in a perfect world, if we both had a pair of 2As, we could just talk to each other in our native languages, and it would seamlessly do the translation. If that is the case, that's freaking awesome. I mean, that really is cool. Last and definitely important, battery life. So ANC generally eats more battery life. To give you an idea, it can be up to 2 to 3 hours that you sacrifice with ANC on any headset. That's not just Pixels. The 2As provide about 7 hours of listening time, and that's with ANC turned on. So if you turn off ANC, you're probably looking at closer to 8 or 9 hours. I generally don't turn it off. That's the one thing I love about having in-ear buds. Easy enough to sorry. It's easy enough to just power through your day, 7, 8 hours or flight or intense workouts before needing to recharge. So yeah, 2A is awesome. And then finally on our Pixelrific journey, and definitely the last Pixel device review I assume I'm doing for the year, is the Pixel Watch 4. Now, the latest Pixel Watch focuses heavily on screen quality. Performance, charging, convenience, as you expect, and I'll go through them. But the screen is where the love affair starts with this watch. So it's an Actua 360 display. It's curved off the sides. If you're watching, you can actually see that. I know my watch is sitting on charge at the moment. I'm actually going to go for a swim after the show, so it's just charging up. But it is beautiful. It's got this rounded dome aesthetic that it's got slimmer bezels than the Watch 3. You get more active screen area. The screen's actually about 50% brighter than the 3. It's 3000 nits as well. This is a huge function when it comes to visibility outdoors compared to Watch 3. I have to say, when I did the Watch 3 review, I also had the smaller 41 millimeter, whereas now I have the 45 millimeter, and I have to say that extra size makes a huge difference, especially like swimming. you're swimming through the water and you're getting a quick glance of your watch, and the screen, the bigger the screen, it's obviously the easier to read. And I can easily read the metrics. So yeah. Watch 4 also uses a new advanced chipset, so it's 25% faster than the Watch 3. It's also more power efficient. So what that means, basically, snappier, smoother, launches the apps, or navigating like really quickly. Watch 4 also offers a better battery endurance. The larger models, when I said this is now the 45 mil, the one that I reviewed, because it is still a 41, can get up to 40 hours with its always on display, compared to around 24 hours with the Watch 3. Again, I do not run any of my devices down to zero. I try and charge and keep charge between 20 and 80% on all my devices. So I wouldn't know if it's going to get a full 40 hours or not. What happened? My notes just jumped right off. Let's scroll this one. So I've now lost my notes, but basically that's going to take me to the end of it on that review. Oh, the last thing that I wanted to talk about, which I see I don't have a slide, so I really apologize. Oh, no, there we are. Got the slide. Sorry, I clicked the wrong button. You can see when you do a live show the things that can and can't go wrong. So it has a new design when it comes to charging. There's this side-mounted charging dock. So basically, if you're watching the show, you'll see the watch is sitting. If you picture it opposite the crown, it connects to its dock there. So the straps are out to the side, and the crown is facing up, and the connector goes into the bottom. Excuse me. I'm going to comment that's come through. Yes, Kylie, it is a nice watch, and no, Kylie, you can't have it. So there it goes, pops up. Nice watch. So it sits on the side. It also charges 25% faster than the previous puck style. So the previous watch, like most watches that I've used, the charger goes behind the watch, and the watch lies flat. This one charges 25% faster. And because it sits on its side, it has a really nice bedside clock mode now as well. A quick 15-minute charge can get you up to 50% power. And that's exactly what I'm doing now. I'm busy boosting my watch, which really is a big deal when you need a quick top up before bed. This is a feature that's important to me because I do track my sleep. And you'll never have enough battery to get through a night sleeping and then still use it in the day as well. So, while you're having a shower, put the watch on charge, quick boost up, and off you go. The Watch 4 also has dual frequency GPS. Now, this gives you a much more accurate and reliable tracking for outdoor activities, especially when running or hiking. So areas where signals can be blocked, like forests where the tree covers. For me, as a trail runner, this is quite a great update, because using apps like All Trails, when you're out in the bush, there's no roads or map markers or anything like that. The dual GPS will definitely help position you a lot better. And then, like all other Pixel products, the new watch brings enhanced Gemini. So the Google AI features are directly on your wrist. So again, just by raising your arm, you can send a message or trigger up a assistant, whatever it is that you might need to do. Right, so that takes me to the end of things with a Z. Having a look, another comment came through. Okay, that's just a heart. I got some hearts. That will take us now onto tech news. So what have we got? Let's go. Cloudflare. So Cloudflare actually showed us that internet outages aren't a matter of if, but when. This little outage took down Twitter on X, or X rather, Spotify, Canva, thousands of other sites. In fact, I think Cloudflare is the CDN for about 20% of the web, which is a significant amount. So what is our plan B? That's a question. I actually don't have the answer for it, right? So if this is going to keep happening, internet's going to go down. What's the plan B? Like, what are we going to do about this? Gemini 3 has launched. I'm not finished with Google just yet. We back to Google. So Gemini 3 has just launched. Super excited about this. I mean, 2.5 is awesome. And I think just quickly, while we're on the topic of using AI and ChatGPTs and all these other little engines, it is important to choose the right tool for the job, as with anything in life, right? You're not going to use a flathead screwdriver to put in a Phillips or star-shaped screw. So it's no different. Certain engines do things differently. I like Gemini. It's definitely my go-to when it comes to most things AI. But what these different engines do, and this is what ChatGPT does really well, is they have different engines for different things. Deep research or wide or fast. You need to get some really fast information. Bang, select the fast. Going back to Google, to Gemini, Nano, which is the Nano Banana for images. So think about the task that you're doing and then choose the right tool, because it also uses more processing power and or more time and or more costs if you're paying for it. So Gemini 3, haven't played with it yet. I will do. It's only just launched. I'm kind of going to stick with AI here. I never give Microsoft love, and they don't deserve it most of the time. And there's lots of reason why I don't give them love. But this was interesting. Microsoft is racing towards building an AI agent factory that lets businesses build and manage their own AI agents. So while Microsoft was founded on the idea of being like a software factory, it's kind of transformed into like this era of where AI agents will take care of things. And if you use Office 365, you're kind of seeing that there's Copilot everywhere now, and things are working across each other. So launching Agent 365 is kind of a way for businesses now to manage their own AI agents, obviously within the realms of 365, which is Office. And then they can deploy them and organize them and build, most importantly, securely their own agents. Now, obviously, that will then work and have its own plugin. So let's say, for example, someone fills out a form, it will then send a task or maybe an email. These are all things that Microsoft already has. The agents will just bring it all together. If you're a geek like me and you want to get into stuff like this, then I believe there's early access or beta version of Agent 365. Go to Microsoft website and or just search for Frontier. Frontier is the name of the platform that Microsoft has for all AI stuff and testing things. So go and have a look there. You might find it over there. And then what else? Oh, my friend Zuckerberg. So Meta is not a monopolist, according to some judge in America somewhere. Um, I don't know. I'm not a judge, but when you pretty much own all of social media, you gotta remember that Meta owns Facebook and Instagram, and they own WhatsApp too. So kind of smacks of a monopoly to me. But as I said, I'm not a judge, so who am I to say anything against them being a monopoly? Right, are you game? I'm actually going to pause here for a second because I'm pretty sure for like the last 3 or 4 shows, I've had some excuse for not playing a game. In fact, one of the shows, I think I actually just forgot altogether to put the segment in. But I decided that given I'm a game on a Pixel Fold now, I thought this time around when I got the 10, I was actually going to try and transfer from iOS to Android. I haven't done that before. Normally, it's just I upgrade my Android devices. I just go Android to Android, and it's seamless, right? You either plug them in or touch them back to back or whatever. Well, no, you plug them in. There's a little cable. So I actually decided the iOS option for a change, just to see. I wanted to see what actually came across or what didn't come across. I'll leave it at that. But the one thing that did come across was PUBG, and I haven't played that for ages. So I thought, well, given the Fold boasts almost an 8-inch screen, I thought, well, why not? The game was awesome on the bigger screen. So it's a pity my gameplay wasn't good. But anyway, if you take normal mobile gaming, right, and especially when you're playing in these big battle royales or open worlds, you turn your phone landscape. Generally, it's very rare that you play on your phone portrait, except for my go-to game, Clash Royale. But most games you would turn to the side, the racing games, everything. Now, picture what I'm saying, right? So, in fact, I'm even going to hold up my phone. I'm going to go back into full screen mode. So, here would be your normal sized phone, right? You're going to hold your phone like that. You're going to look at the screen. Now, open it. I mean, that's massive. It's double. So if you think about it, you now have double the volume of screenplay, you get to see so much more of the world, which also, when you're playing a game like a shooter and you're trying to look for enemies in that, the more that you have to access, the better. It's no different to playing on a really big monitor on your PC. Obviously, you're going to get to see more stuff. Every move, every turn that you do, more stuff is there. So I have to say, PUBG, and I'm sure Fortnite and any of the other games that you can play that are world games, or what's it, MMOGPs, yeah, PGs, are just awesome on the bigger screen. So yeah, I did play a game. As I said, I just wish I could play properly. And then, if you haven't played PUBG for a while, they've just launched a new map, the Frosty Funland. I think it was released on like November 6th. Um, it was quite a big upgrade that I had to do once I fired it up to get it going. Very cool. So I will be playing PUBG again. In fact, I was playing a game earlier, like just doing the review and that, and I had a meeting that I had to go. I was so bleak because I was actually doing well. I think I'd killed like 3 people, and normally I get killed straight away. So yeah, um, I think that's it for RU game. It is, and then, well, I'm going to stay in full screen mode. So Q&A is the last segment. Hey Brett, any recommendations for Black Friday deals? Yes. If you don't need it, don't buy it. I have this question every year, and every year I answer it the same way. Buy what you need, not what you want. If you need a new laptop or phone, then BFCM is a great time to get a deal. But do your so I know you're asking the question. I'm not going to be facetious and say, well, you don't need it, don't buy it. It's not my place to tell you that. But do your research. And I say this every year as well. Start with what you're looking for and then start the search. So don't leave it to the last moment. Then you fall into the trap and you stumble across deals and you think they're good and you're scared of losing out because now you've missed Black Friday and Cyber Monday's next and you don't want to lose out. So planning is important. You've got time. Plan. You've asked the question. I'm giving you the answer. Sit down and say, what is it that I need? I need a new pair of Pixel Buds 2A, right? Then start looking at who sells these. Then make a note of those companies. And when it comes to Black Friday, start following to see. So basically, you'll start with Google, go to their store, and then maybe Amazon and whomever else is partaking. One tip I can give you is that if you use apps like Shopback or Cash Rewards, try and look for those as well. So generally, what those do is they'll give, as their name would suggest, you get cash back. Amazon can be as much as 7%. I actually bought a pair of shoes the other day. I got 22% back, which, if you're spending over $100 or $200, that's a significant amount of money. And then my friend Alon, he's really fantastic at this. So what he does, I mean, he's got too much time on his hand. Alon, you have too much time on your hand. But what he'll do is he's got a certain bank card, I don't remember who the brand is, that if you buy gift cards with that card, you get 5% off, right? So here's the journey that he does. Let's say he goes and buys $500 of gift cards. He's getting 5% off. Boom, done, 25 bucks. Then he takes those gift cards and he looks for the Shopback or Cash Rewards app to see where the deals are, goes through those and pays with the gift card, or buys a gift card in the Shopback app, which also has discounts on it as well. So yeah, he really does gamify this whole thing. But again, this is part of the planning. You could sit down and go through Shopback or Cashback and see what kind of deals they're offering and which stores. Believe me, they'll be promoting stores as well. So they'll be promoting stores with big cashback. Um, you go through there, you find a deal, and then do a quick search online for other stores, and you might be in a much better off position. So all your work could be done for you in one spot. But again, that's, as I said, I'm advocating that if you're going to do it, please do it based on what you need and not what you want. It's no one wants to spend more money than they have to. So that's Q&A. Then that will take us to the end of the show for today. Thank you again for joining me. Thanks to Google for the amazing toys. Until next time, keep your screens clean and your knobs shiny.